Hey, this is Jimmy Jive, and you're listening to Motor City Rock Talk. Today, I am going to be interviewing a guitarist from a local Detroit metropolitan band called Detroit Trouble. They're pretty much a blues collar, rock blues trio that's been playing around for a while and doing some good stuff. Really good music. As I mentioned before I started this, I hadn't heard of the band before. A friend of mine recommended it, and I'm glad they did, because this is some good rock and blues. Anyway, my guest today is Kidd Lightnin. How you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Jimmy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. All right, let's start with a little background. Tell me a little bit about where you grew up, where you're from, and what pretty much drew you to music, specifically the guitar.
So I grew up somewhere around in between Farmington Hills and the Redford area off of 8 Mile. And what kind of sparked my interest in guitar playing first was at about age 4 or 5 years old. My dad loved old westerns and TV shows of that nature and, you know, classic sitcoms of the 70s and 80s. And one day flipping through channels and he was looking for Sanford's Son. You know, I'm milling around in the living room, couldn't find the station, and actually landed on PBS. And if you remember, PBS used to have, before, you know, a bunch of kind of like nonsense now. It's like there's nothing really good on there anymore.
Right.
No great musicians other than whenever they decide to air Austin City Limits.
Right, yeah.
And back then they had Stevie Ray Vaughan's retrospective, and it was Jimmy Vaughn, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, a whole host of, great melting pot players.
Absolutely.
And decided right then and there that that's what I wanted to do with my life. It's been one heck of a ride so far. Almost about to be 32 years old, and I've been playing ever since then. I'm completely self-taught, learned to play by ear. My father actually, rest his soul, he recorded those live performances on VHS tape.
Cool.
And as a young kid, I sat there and kept replaying that tape, and I kept copying, trying to mimic and copy, Buddy Guy and Jimmy Vaughn, Stevie Ray, and B.B. King, and all them guys. And finally, after, turned about 15, 16 years old, I could play some of their songs fluently. Started, working my way into the workforce. As a blue-collar man, I'm a diesel mechanic for a living. All three of us in the band, we got guys working at the factory, and another guy that's an HVAC repairman. So we have a close relation to people like us that come to the bars and see our band. That's kind of us in a nutshell, but I formed the band in 2015. Had a lot of iterations of the band, different members over the years, and it just kind of boils down to, people either along for the ride or they're in it to win it,
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, would you say that as far as your main influences, it would have been more or less the older blues guys or Stevie Ray, Hendrix?
Firstly, the reason I picked up the guitar was because of my love for music. Nobody in my family played instruments. It was strictly because I seen, the 80s blues guys, if you will, Buddy Guy and guys of that nature. And I guess, you could say that's what got me going. But then, if you're really about it, you start to come around and you learn that, hey, Buddy Guy, he's playing all of his own shit, but he's got, 13 different guys he listened to when he was my age,
Sure.
From like Son House and, Clarence Gatemouth Brown, there's a whole list all the way down to Robert Johnson.
So tell me, who are the other members of the band, the current band?
So, currently we have, and future proceeding, I would like to introduce Mr. Kirk Richer. We call him Captain Kirk, or Captain for short. Hey, what's happening, Captain?
Yeah.
He's our bass player. He's got a much more rock background than I do, rock, heavy metal. Mm-hmm. And he's a great thunderhouse, when it comes to bringing up that lower end. On the skins, we got Mr. William Watts, we call him Wild Bill. And he also comes from, a heavier background with a love of the blues. We actually had met about, like 10 or 11 years ago, roughly. And we had met at a place in Ypsilanti called the Tap Room. They used to have a blues jam on Thursdays. And I would pop in there from time to time. And one time I bumped into him, and we actually jammed. And we did like some old Stevie Ray stuff, just did a little jamming, 3 songs and you're done, 20 minutes, whatever, get off the stage. And, we sat there, had a couple drinks and just talked shit for a little bit. And, we always kind of thought like, hey man, if you ever, need a drummer. And I said, yeah, sure. I got a guy right now at the time.
Right.
And, it just didn't really pan out. And then last year, I was, in search of some new guys again, reached out to him, and he's like, yeah, let's make something happen. And we've been boots on the ground, running hard as can be ever since.
Oh, that's awesome.
We've been making a lot of noise in the last 6 months.
That's fantastic. Now, are these guys also from the general area, the Metro Detroit area?
They are from the metro area. They're not from Detroit themselves. Right. Yeah, they're from a little ways out west and north.
Okay. Now, the next question I have for you, and I'm sure you get this quite a bit. How did you come up with the moniker Kidd Lightnin?
Actually, an old friend of mine named Dan Bellis. He goes by the name Dustin Chrome. He and I used to pal around, and he actually sang in an old iteration of the band quite a few months back, like 6-7 years ago. We used to play at a little bar in Westland called Chatters. Yeah, they used to have an open jam night on Mondays. And, we would sit there, regularly, and we'd get together on, whatever song, we might want to get up and play. And he would sing, and I'd, back him on the guitar. And one night, I was just up there playing with some other guys who used to be in the band, Neil Ivory, rest in peace, our old bass player, and our buddy DeMarcus Sumter. I get off stage one night, Dan was like, apparently I was on fire or something, I was just doing my thing. He goes, man, we gotta call you, you know, like something like Lightning. You play like lightning, dude. It's crazy. I'm like, well, thanks, man. I mean, I'm a very humble guy, you know, and I could always do better. He's like, man, no, you know, F that, you know. We gotta come up with a name for you, man. Like, you like the kid, you know, you're like a young kid. I was like 19, 20, 21, something like that. Just starting to grow some hair on my chest, you know. He's like, yeah, man, I think that needs to be your name. Something like Kidd Lightnin. I was like, all right, you know, and I didn't really think a whole lot of it. You know, I wasn't looking for a superhero type, you know, guitar hero name or whatever, and I was just doing me. I don't know, it started to stick, and people started calling me that around town.
I know you've got some shows coming up in March, which we'll get to a little bit later. What are some of the other clubs that you have frequented with this band?
So we've been all over the metro area, from like the Detroit Pub. It used to be Pub 1281 on the old Blue Goose Inn, the new Blue Goose Inn. Goodness, there's a pretty extensive East Side list. There's like Pub Froggy, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Of course, you go a little bit further up in the Chesterfield area. We used to play the concert venues up there, you know, Diesel Concert Lounge, which we actually have a show coming up there March 1st.
Right. Have you played? You guys have played Road Rangers, haven't you?
Many times. We were actually one of their first bands that ever played there.
That's a cool club, man. That's really killer. The reason I was going to say that, I've seen quite a few bands play there, and the sound man is really good. I understand he can record shows, they can videotape. Have you done any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of that stuff's actually on our YouTube channel. That'd be, his name's Steve Bestow. He is definitely one hell of a sound man. He used to be the sound man where we used to play the old All Around. We used to play, you know, places like the All Around. There was a place called City's Edge. People listening would know those places. Mm-hmm. Really wild, crazy nights at those places with us playing and stuff like that. So yeah.
Have you played anything as far as more towards the west side? What I mean is specific. One of the bars and clubs that's near me is the Token Lounge. Have you ever played there at all?
Yes. We actually had a house band gig there at one point.
Really?
And, yeah, we're going to be playing there again soon. Places like the Token Lounge, Chatters, old bar called Ashley's over that way. Mm-hmm. There's been so many venues over the years, because we've gone down to Memphis and played at the blues clubs down there.
Oh, you have been out of state. Okay, that's great.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty much all we've done out of state. Okay. Been all over the state of Michigan, though.
Have you opened up for any national acts or semi-national acts?
Yes, bands like Anvil, Julie John Ross, Yngwie Malmsteen, quite a list there too. I believe Saliva was one we did at the Diesel. A lot of like big name rock acts, you know. Mm-hmm. There's a really awesome gal that plays guitar. I think she's from Europe somewhere. It's Anna Popovich. Yeah, we opened for her once. Token. She was great. I don't know how you wear stiletto heels and use a wah-wah pedal, but man, she kills it.
That's kind of wild, man, that you're mentioning that you'd open up for quite a few hard rock metal bands. That seems like kind of a strange mixture. How did that go over with that, you know, those crowds?
It goes off great, actually, because blues, the form of music known as the blues, has always been, since the British invasion, it's been more of a communication wavelength between other genres, because all modern forms of music come from the blues.
Yeah, that's true.
And even in the 90s and early 2000s, you know, rap and hip hop, that was, if you look at it for what it really is, that's the blues music of the day, to the kids of that day, you know, from any background, you know. We've actually stepped into doing some shows, you know, like out in the Lansing area and mid-Michigan area recently that host like rap and hip-hop competitions, and we just came in and said, hey, we don't care, we're looking for an opportunity, man. You know, like, who are you to say you're somebody if you don't take every opportunity available, you know?
Absolutely.
You know, you got to get people to know you, and you got to push your merch, you got to, you know, shake hands, kiss babies, if you will, you know?
Sure.
We actually went out and did an hour set during a rap competition, and it was perceived so well. It was amazing.
In the summer, do you guys play any of the festivals? I know Taylor always has the Summer Fest, Royal Oak and whatnot. Have you played any of those?
We actually used to do Arts Beats and Eats, River Days. There used to be a Pontiac Power Week during the Dream Cruise. Some events like that, yeah.
You had mentioned that you went through a few different, you know, bass players, drummers over the past. Has the band always been called Detroit Trouble, or did you have a different name at one time?
It has always been called Detroit Trouble since 2015.
And how did you come up with that name? I mean, that's a really cool name, and it really speaks to what you said earlier, the blue-collar working class crew. How did you come up with that name specifically?
Well, in the words of my favorite band, ZZ Top, I'll give you 3 stories, and ain't none of them true.
That's cool. We love stories.
Yeah, you know. Well, you want the G-rated story or the triple X-rated story? No, I'm just kidding.
This is YouTube, man. You can say whatever you like.
Well, you know, honestly, it's really about representation of the everyday Detroiter. Everybody runs into trouble. Everybody figures out how to get out of it, you know, and that's, you know, Detroit's always been a city that has always rose from any ashes that it, you know, has been involved with. You know, it's a city that, you know, stands on what it believes in. You know, I'm the kind of man that, you know, stands on my word. I pursue what I believe in. I'm writing music for people that are just like me and just like us in the band. What it really amounts to, that's really what the band's about. You know, it's a people's band.
Speaking of writing music, are you the sole songwriter in the band, or do you guys kind of collaborate on this stuff?
You know, sometimes ideas typically revolve around what I begin. Sometimes they finish with, you know, a collaboration within the band.
Are you writing the lyrics too, or just...
Typically, yeah. You know, we have stuff that's yet to hit the airwaves. You know, basically it's me and our bass player Kirk that collaborate on the lyrical geniusity there.
Now, I saw on Spotify there, I think there's 4 songs that you have, 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
Where do you record? Do you have like a home studio, or do you just go into an actual studio, or how'd you do that?
You know, we used to record with, you know, 3 of the songs on there are from, you know, former bandmates of ours. You know, we have a new song that's from the current lineup. You know, we left them on there because, you know, it's showing history of the band, you know, being active and whatnot. You know, and that's with respect to those guys. Whether or not they want to respect it is up to them. But, you know, I've had, you know, over time, people that, you know, say, hey, maybe Detroit's not the best name for the band, you know, putting Detroit in there. My rebuttal to that is, I mean, what about Boston and Kansas? You know, they're bands from their city, so, you know.
No, I think it's cool because, you know, it's representation of who you are, where you're from, and it's going to tell people a story right there. So I got no trouble with that. I think that's extremely cool, and adding the little trouble thing just adds a little bit more fuel to the fire, which, you know, I think is good. Where did you record those songs?
So typically we were recording with Rick Young over at Talent Live in Canton. The latest song we got on there we did with Mr. Ryan Highland. I'm trying to remember the name of his studio. It escapes me right now, but guys like Joe Kane, who's real good friends with Uncle Cracker, has done a lot of work in there. Now what we're looking to do is, you know, be, you know, self-sufficient with the recording and, you know, audio and videography process. That's something we're looking forward to, you know, because we'll be able to start getting stuff out quicker that way.
The other thing I was going to mention was I see you have what would be considered singles. Is there any future hope or in the works of actually putting out a full-length, yes, they still call them albums, CDs or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, basically what we hope to do is put a compilation together eventually of past and, you know, present songs. Basically the reason for this is that nowadays, you know, unless you're, you know, of the household name, Jelly Roll kind of stature, you know, you don't really, there's not really albums coming out from a lot of bands, you know.
Right.
Mainly it's, you know, song with a video getting released, you know. And that's, honestly, it's a quicker way for the listener to get a scope of what the band really is.
Sure, I get that. Does that take a lot of time? Like typically your latest song that you're pushing, how long did it take to record that? How long as far as the session?
Based on kind of how I try to run things, you know, I try to be as efficient as possible. Usually it could take anywhere from like 5 to 8 hours roughly in a studio. With us at home self-producing our stuff, you know, it's a little quicker, to be honest, and you know, you spend time on it and you ain't got to worry about an engineer that has, you know, 5 of the bands he's working with at the moment. You know,
definitely go into a studio prepared and have your stuff down. Do you do anything as far as overdubs?
A little bit here and there. Some parts we try to double them up, you know, to give it a wider sound, you know, because that's, if you go back and you look at, you know, the greats, you know, like I'll always mention my heroes, Billy Gibbons, people like that, because what they did back in those days, reel to reel on tape, they would record the guitar track and then they would go back over the guitar track as an overdub with another guitar, and what they would do to give it a different sound was they would just pull on the strings a little bit, give them a little tug to get them ever so slightly out of tune. Not even like a quarter step, it's like no AC/DC shit, you know, but it was always just a little tweak out of tune. And then they would pan one guitar one way and pan the other guitar the other way, like at a 45-degree angle or whatever, something I think they stated. You know, I thought that was pretty damn cool. Yeah. And it gives it a wider sound, a bigger sound. You know, Black Sabbath, you know, the old Sabbath records like that.
The other thing I was going to mention, being like a rock blues, I don't want to say blues rock, I think it's a little bit more rock blues myself. Have you ever considered adding another instrument? I don't mean another guitar because I don't think it needs it. Keyboard, anything as far as that, you know, organ patches, anything like that?
We've discussed this quite a few times over the years. I think it would help a little bit in some of our, especially my ideologies, what I want to do with the music, because I feel like I'm forwarding the genre more than reiterating kind of what everybody else is doing, it seems, nowadays. You know, there's a few bands out there that are genre bending or, you know, no genre at all, they claim or whatever. But what I feel is like, you know, like we have other talents as well. I mean, I don't know just how to play a guitar. I mean, I could sit up and play a banjo, you know, or I could figure out something else. You know, I could probably play a harmonica a little bit. And I started off actually playing a little bit of saxophone when I was in grade school.
That would be really
I mean,
cool.
You know, Kirk over here, he can play a little bit of keyboards, and we got a little small mixing board or whatever, keyboard deal. You know, we've talked about doing like some, not like Rush style music, but adding in, you know, like how Geddy Lee would, you know, play the bass and do some keys at the same time.
Yeah.
Just look at your heroes.
Let's talk about gear a little bit. I'm going to take you back to when you were a kid again. If you can remember, would have been the first guitar that you owned or was purchased?
I still have it. It's a little plastic acoustic, like fake wood grain and shit. You know, it's very cute, I must say. Little small deal, I don't know, it's made in China. It was bought at some little store by my dad when I was about 4 or 5. And that was the very first guitar I had. And because I watched my heroes on the TV back then, it was odd to me because I'm trying to emulate these guys, but for some reason my brain, the way it picked up on it, I actually played the guitar left-handed because it looked like I was mirror imaging, technically not mirror imaging, but in my brain, you know, as you know, your brain develops as a young kid, that's like how I thought I had to hold the guitar to mimic what I was watching. Obviously now, you know, I get into, you know, like 8, 9 years old, and I'm like, oh, okay, shit, I gotta play it this way, you know, because like I said, I'm completely self-taught. You know, there was no books, there was no lessons, there was no mentor, there was no guidance whatsoever. The only guidance I had was to watch the interviews that were, you know, like on like A&E, PBS, of course, and things like that, you know. And you know, my teachers were beer drinkers and hellraisers, so yeah, no, most kids, you know, they mommy daddy go buy them lessons and stuff like that. You know, they started learning rudimentary licks, but you know, I was looking at some different licks.
In any of your stuff, whether it be live or future recordings in the studio, would you be incorporating anything as far as acoustic guitar? I mean, a lot of the traditional blues was obviously done on acoustic. Any plans of doing anything with that, or are you going to keep it pretty much all electric?
Basically, what I've kind of thought about is adding some acoustics to some more Hendrix-style ballads that otherwise would be instrumental in my mind, being that I got the best guys around. Basically, what I kind of thought was to like a more of a Kenny Wayne Shepherd-ish kind of ballad with some vocals on it, you know, because everybody kind of knows, you know, hey, Kenny was playing the guitar and Noah was doing a lot of singing and playing some acoustic along with it, you know, so maybe there's, you know, some spots for that, you know, maybe or maybe not. We're actually working on that right now. I'll leave that up to everybody's thoughtful imaginations.
So what kind of gear are you playing now? What's your favorite kind of guitar? What amplification do you use?
When I started out, everybody that I talked to, gotta get a Strat, you know. I remember going to Joe's Music when I was about 10 or 11. I actually got my first electric. I'll tell you what, you know, grew up as my dad's minion. He was a mechanic. You know, we didn't have shit for money, but, you know, what he thought to do as running a business, you know, as a mechanic that was self-employed, you know, he did what he did. He did what he had to do. He actually pulled up a little cash together and he bought me like a $400 or $500 guitar. It was a Mexican Strat. That was my first real guitar. Got that when I was about 10 11 years old, and I still got that guitar too as well. You know, it's been rectified pretty heavily. I don't play it out live too much anymore because in the last 8-9 years my taste has really changed. My taste buds have really changed, and I don't know, probably in my mid-teens I started getting heavier into rock, heavy metal, and rap, hip hop, jazz, funk, you know, other than just blues. You know, like I was such a blues connoisseur and like solid old gold oldies connoisseur as a young kid, because I wanted to be more like my dad, I guess. And, you know, I was very thankful that, you know, I had that role model to look up to. But, you know, for nowadays sake, I actually, when I was about 22, 23, and my dad had just passed, you know, I started getting into like some other music, and I was like, you know what, let me go try out a Les Paul. I love the look of the guitar, and I love Les Paul's story. You know, Les Paul is such a hero. He's an American innovator and an American hero for sure.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I went over to a Guitar Center downriver over by Allen Park. I walk in there, and lo and behold, I'm like, man, I love the color on that motherfucker. It's just an Epiphone Les Paul, nothing special. And I picked it up. I'm like, man, I love the feel of this thing, you know. And it like instantly, something about it instantly changed my playing style. If an instrument has got that kind of power over the musician, over the player, that's something that, you know, you couldn't recreate that and box it up and sell it to Jeff Bezos, man.
Right.
You know, there's no way. After that, you know, I started, you know, playing the Gibson style guitars more. You know, I had a 335 like Freddie King's for a while. You know, I bought like a 335 Junior, like a smaller version of that, smaller body anyways. Now what I use my main rig is I came across like what I feel is the perfect crossover instrument and can be used to play anything. I would love to try to get an endorsement from these people one day if it's ever possible. It's a LTD under the ESP brand, and it's a Les Paul style body. Got that cut or whatever, you know, the single cutaway. It's completely hot rodded to the max. I don't know if you could change much else about it. You know, maybe some different tuning pegs, but another person that makes some really good products based right out here of our city is Todd Rauscher with Greenville Pickup. I actually got a set of his, I forget the brand they or what his nickname for them are, but they're actually a lower winding of copper in the pickup coil as a lower out. This kind of enables, you know, when you want to play blues and you want to get low and slow, dirty with the band, you know, you tell them like, hey, bring it down, like shh. It creates more of a ability to have more output from a lower output pickup over the amp. You get more of a clarity out of it, I feel like, as well. Called the Suspicion 2 humbucker or something like that.
Do you use any kind of pedals, wah-wah pedals or anything like that with your gig?
Yeah, I use a Buddha boudoir pedal. That's my favorite wah that I've ever used. You can have your Morley, you can have your old Vox, you can have Crybaby. There's something about the Buddha boudoir pedal that I think it adds when you click it on, it adds a little bit more gain or something like that to your preamp. I can rebuild your engine, your transmission, and your vehicle, man. But as far as knowing a little bit of tech talk when it comes to electronics, I just play the shit. That's what it boils down to. But you know,
I totally understand.
Yeah, other than that, you know, I got a nice little wah set up. I use this thing, it's called a Boosta Grande. It's like a Wild West themed boost pedal. Yeah, it's like strictly boost with a gain knob on it. I use an Ocean's 11 reverb delay. I got the Hendrix Univibe pedal. Pretty much it on my daily usage of pedals, but my amplification, I got two different amps I use. I use a JCM 2000 triple super lead. I have a Ibanez 100 watt tone blaster and a solid state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I actually traded an old JCM 2000 dual super lead for this head because of the tone it had. And everybody says, you know, like, man, this amp's like in the top 10 worst to ever buy, worst to own. It's a piece of shit. I'm over here like, those are the kind I like.
I was going to say, typically, you know, rock, blues and all that, I would think most players would lend towards more to the tube type amps because of that kind of sound. But you seem to get the sound and the feel you like out of the solid state.
Oh, yeah. Guitar tone is all in the fingers of the player, too.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you know, that's what it boils down to. You know, and my mainstay guitar, LTD, is so special to me. I'll never sell it. You know, in 10, 15 years, I hope they'll replicate it and sell it as a custom model because there's nothing else like it. And the reason it's like nobody else is on Jimi Hendrix's birthday one year, we decided to light it on fire. Light cigarettes and joints off the damn thing while it was on fire. And I had a guy, real good buddy of mine, Dennis Rosella, put the thing back together. Even the pickup binding, I'll send you a picture of this thing, but the pickup binding is even like melted and deformed and shit. And he figured out how to, like, okay, if I just inch the screw back just a little tiny bit, it won't break. And it's like every time, you know, we put like different pickups in it or whatever, you know, he's like, man, we're going to get you some real pickup binding soon. I'm like, yeah, we'll just melt that and make it look like the old shit used to. It's well burned alive and shit like that, you know. It's it went from a $400 guitar that I bought with a tax return check that I played like 3 times and it sat in the corner to a guitar that I was like, dude, screw it, we need something cool. Like this is gonna be like the shit one day,
right? You
know, now it's I don't know, I've been playing it every show. It's my main guitar since like 2018, something like that.
Let's get back to the recordings. Your latest song,
it's called Hot in the D.
Hot in the D. Guys made a music video for that. Whereabouts did you make that, and who produced it, or who filmed it?
Hot in the D started from an old riff I had in the bank from a while back. Some other gentleman that used to work with us, you know, I put the song, I created the song, we started to try to formulate it, and then it sat in the riff bank for quite a long time. And I brought it back, changed the tuning, changed the whole structure of the song.
Where was the video shot? Who did that? Who worked on that?
So the video itself was produced by a gentleman named Joseph Gart with Big Tilt Media. Yeah, basically we shot the video in 3 different places. We were looking for a bar to do a bar scene, and one spot they didn't give me the time of day, so I was like, all right, screw you, you're gonna find out one day. You know, we then went over to Nancy, you know, good old Nancy Whiskey's in Detroit there, right by Greektown. Yeah, they opened us welcome, you know, open arms and whatever, and we actually played like a hour set for free. We just needed a little spot to, you know, shoot a bar scene, and I rode my Harley up there, and a lot of scenes with my Harley in it. We're at the Rensen. We were up on top of a parking structure. Almost got arrested for that.
Oh,
yeah. We're like, we'll be out of here in 20 minutes. 45 minutes later. All right, man, we're going. Okay, we don't want no shit.
How long did it take to actually film and produce that video?
It took quite a bit, you know, because it was our first workings with Joe and his company Big Tilt. The next one that's going to be coming out will definitely be a game changer. Basically, what we want to do is kind of get like a process going. Obviously, you know, working with the same guy, that kind of thing. You know, so we've been interviewing some different people, and you know, Joe seems to see, you know, our vision the best, you know, and he really captured that with Hot in the D. So if you're looking to get a music video done, I definitely reach out. But you're gonna have to get through us first. We're more important. Just kidding.
No, that's really cool. I thought it was really, really well done. Produced wise, the song is really hot. I pretty much understood the theme of it. Let's talk about something else that you did. Not sure exactly when that was, but you were on Music in the D. How did that come about?
Oh, Music Mondays on Live
Music Monday. Yeah.
Click on click on Local 4 Detroit News. I wish I had like an actual manager, you know, or a booking agent to kind of handle some things, but you know, throughout my 18 hours a day that I'm awake or whatever it is, I'm always reaching out. I'm always the one out there, you know, trying to get the shows and get the bookings done. And you know, I spent a lot of emails, a lot of my time sending emails and calls and leaving voice messages to, you know, the station. But we finally got in. It was right before the Christmas break. They scheduled us. We got in there, and right off the rip, the security guard, real sweetheart, and she was like, "Your name's what?" And I'm like, I said, "My name's Kidd Lightnin. I'm with the Detroit Trouble Band, and we're here to do a little segment with like Emir. I forget how you pronounce her last name. Sorry if I butchered that." But she was a real sweetheart herself. Gave us a real great introduction and really knew how to represent us, you know, for not knowing us for so long.
For Music Monday today, we are joined by a band that is adding a new spin to the Detroit music scene. They're infusing their blue-collar sensibilities along with classic sounds of the Motor City to create Detroit Trouble. And joining us is Kidd Lightnin to tell us about his band and the inspiration behind it. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Tati. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Now, you describe your band's sound as blue-collar, blues and rock and roll from Detroit. How did that fusion come about?
A whole melting pot. It's kind of like a pot of great gumbo, right? And it's all from guys like Ted Nugent and Derek St. Holmes to Motown sounds, and people of the blues genre like John Lee Hooker and people of that nature. And basically what we represent is people that work a 9 to 5, and like we, as well as ourselves, we write music for people just like us.
Yeah, and I should mention that you guys all have blue-collar backgrounds.
Yes.
And wanted to give back to that community. That's what you guys say.
Yep, men and women that punch that clock every day and want to come home to some good music and chill with a nice little drink and a good meal.
That's right. So who are some of the groups, again, who influenced your sound, or individuals specifically?
Definitely people like ZZ Top, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan. There's all kinds of folks out there. You know.
All right.
Yeah.
Now tell us about the song that you're going to perform for us today.
So the song we're going to perform for you all today is called Hot in the D. It's our latest single, which we have a brand new music video out for. And it's basically about a gentleman or a lady that might punch the clock for a 9 to 5 gig. When they get off on Friday night with that nice golden paycheck, they want to go down and party with their friends and have a good time.
That's awesome.
You
So
know,
how can people
release
follow?
some steam?
You got to, especially at the end of a week, right?
Absolutely.
So how can people follow you on social media and keep up with your music and shows around town?
So first off would be DetroitTroubleBand.com, and also Facebook. Just search Detroit Trouble. But our website will bring up a link tree and take you to all that stuff. Instagram, Twitter, everything.
Everything. All
Yes.
right. Well, thank you guys so much for being with us. And
My
now,
pleasure.
here is Detroit Trouble taking us to break with Hot in the D.
Rolling like Seagull on my two-wheeler, that's right. Read me my rights, 'cause I'm all down to fight. And we worked all week, so we're about to get down on that town. And I'm just like you, baby, 9 to 5 is what we do, yeah. It's getting kinda hot down tonight, and I'm feeling alright. Well, 'cause hot in the D tonight. Jim is so white stripes, smoking these pipes. Well, we're rocking downtown, getting off of the ground, yeah. The night moon's rising, and as it's good, feeling it time in. Yeah, 'cause I ain't no fool, darling, 'cause I got the right to, you know what I'm talking about. Well, it's getting kinda hot down tonight, and I'm feeling alright. Hey, 'cause it's hot in the D tonight.
You know, we got on there, we did our thing, and it was perceived very well. You know, it's almost like 1,000 views in like 2-week period it's been on YouTube.
Yeah, it's very
And,
cool, very cool.
yeah.
I know you have some upcoming shows. Let's talk about that a little bit. I believe you're playing, what, the Diesel in March?
Yeah, back on the business there, your last question. We have another show coming up after the 29th. February is going to be spent working on the next video. Might do a show or two. You know, you have to stay tuned and check out that Facebook, subscribe to that YouTube channel. You'll find out everything you need to know. Set in stone for March is Saturday, March 1st. We're going to be at Diesel Concerts Detroit, Chesterfield, Michigan. And we're going to be doing a show there with War Machine, the ultimate Kiss tribute from Detroit.
I know you guys guitar, you do original material, obviously, but what are some of the covers that you do?
So we like to do a lot of, anything we cover, we sit there and we say, well, listen, are we Detroit Trouble or are we the artists we're covering? Mm-hmm. No, we're fucking Detroit Trouble, man. We're going to do Detroit Trouble things. So what that amounts to is, like we do stuff from like Freddie King is like one of our, has been a song that I've had in this band now for, I think probably been about 10, 11 years, since I first started the band. A song called Big Legged Woman, I kind of do my own rendition of the song.
Sure,
same key or whatever. It's a real good song for the key. It's a real good fit for, ladies to get their rump shaking on the dance floor, stuff like that. Some other songs we do, we do some Hendrix, and of course ZZ Top. And when we do those, we do kind of like a mix match, like we do Little Wing by Hendrix, but we mix the Stevie Ray version with the Hendrix version. So, I sing the lyrical parts, and, our bass player, Kirk, he does a great, I would say, rendition of Derek St. Holmes singing Just What the Doctor Ordered from Ted Nugent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time we played that, he was like, yeah, I know how to sing that. I'm like, okay, I know how to play it. And he goes, all right, well, fucking, let's hit it. Man, I was like, I started boogieing. I'm just like, yeah, this is the shit. Like, if it gets me into it, I know the people can get into it.
Absolutely. That's very important.
Very important. 100%.
So, other than the Diesel show, what else is coming up in that month?
Saturday, March 15th, Max Dugan's in Hazel Park off the 10 Mile right off the freeway. We're going to be there hosting the Detroit Blues Society monthly jam and having a little soiree for my birthday.
Cool, that's awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah, 32 revolutions around the sun, baby.
That's a good way to put it. All right, man. Well, I'm going to end this here. I want to tell you, it's been great talking to you. I wish you the best of luck in the future with your videos and your music.
Yeah.
You guys are on the right track. I really dig the fact that you're taking the rock and the blues, putting it together with your own little spin on it, writing original material, because I think that, people are going to look at it and go, yeah, you sound like this, you sound like that. But the important thing is like you said, you're writing original material. You're trying to create something new. You're not just trying to emulate the past. You're trying to take it, like you said, to a new generation. So I think that's very, very cool.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the time. If you're wanting to know anything about the band, don't forget to go to DetroitTroubleBand.com. We have a list over there where you can sign up for getting you some new Detroit Trouble swag merchandise. We got hats, t-shirts, we got ladies wear, we got stuff, like down to babies' clothes and clutch purses for the women. We got everything you need.
That's very cool, because I know merch is very important. Very important.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, you have a good rest of your day, man, and I look forward to seeing you down the line, and we'll stay in touch and look forward to hearing some more of your kick-ass music.
Right on, my man. You guys have a great one, and hope to see you at a show sometime soon.
Oh, yeah, you will, brother.
All right.
Take care. You bet.
You too now. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Kidd Lightnin, guitarist for Detroit Trouble. A really, good, solid rock blues band. You heard his influences, you heard his beliefs on the whole type of music and how he played it. And he seems to be very true to his art form, which I think is very cool. They're going to be playing, like he said, coming up at the Diesel Blues Fest type of stuff. And I think you need to stay tuned to these guys. If you haven't heard of them, you can check them out, like he said, at their Facebook page. They got their own YouTube channel. And, of course, they're on the streaming services, Spotify. And I definitely recommend them. They're really killer. If you like good rock blues, this will be right up your alley. Hey, if you're into vintage audio, receivers, turntables, the like, and you need some of that stuff repaired because it's been sitting around, it's not quite working as well, you need to check out 7 Grand Audio Repair. They're at 25642 7 Mile Road in South Redford. Phone number is 313-533-3635. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. The owner, Dash, and his assistant, Harry, have been in the business for over 40 years. And let me tell you, they know their business. They are 2 honest gentlemen that can fix just about anything. Get it fixed right the first time with 7 Grand Audio. Anyway, with that said, and like I always say, keep rocking.